Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Randy at Snap Judgments, and I have John from Ballin and Burgundy here with me today. How is it going, John? He is back. You folks may remember he was here about a month ago.
No, my camera, no. I appreciate you being back. I appreciate you having me back. I don't know why my camera decided to completely bug out.
Your camera's rebelling against your picture here.
Hey man, apparently you know what they say, the camera's always at about 10 pounds, and clearly this camera decided to take me out completely. There we go. So you know what? One take Jake's around here. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to do this mock draft thing. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, no, this is going to be fun. So, folks on the podcast, you may remember a couple days ago, Matt Chabot came in here. He and I did a little dueling mock draft. He's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. We don't hold that against him. But he came in here, he made some picks. It was interesting too, because the Chiefs, they've really made some moves that impact the draft, just in terms of, trading for draft picks and changing their needs in a big way. He had an interesting take on it though, because he didn't feel like they were going to go secondary in the first round. I think he ended up going tackle and wide receiver, and then he got his cornerback later with Davison Igbinosun in the third.
All right.
Yeah. He's a big Igbinosun fan too, though. So he thinks Igbinosun's like CB2 in the class.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. No, he's probably top 10. I got Igbinosun probably outside my top 5.
Yeah, he certainly has the production, as long as he can keep his hands to himself and keep those flags from flying constantly. Like, there's no reason that he can't do some things in this league.
But I agree. But like I said, got to make sure you keep your hands to yourself. And we've all been teaching that since like the first grade. Well, apparently, just like people in Hollywood, he don't listen. So, time will tell.
Well, we are actually going to change up a little bit. Folks that watched this a couple days ago, when Matt and I went back and forth, we were trying to do like a multiplayer online function, but it was timed and it really rushed things and made things a little more difficult. So we're going to set it up where I'm just going to set it up for 7 rounds, pick for both teams on my screen. And then, John will tell me who he would like to pick based upon who is available. He'll tell me what positions to look at, etc. As we've found out on this channel, when I shut my camera down, this thing runs a lot smoother. So, folks, you're not going to be forced to look at me for a lot of this episode. Good news, okay, because I have a face for radio. We are going to get started here, though. Let me shut down the camera, pull up the screen, and this, I know that my computer can get laggy. Thank you so much, folks, for bearing with us. I do think that these are fun episodes to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And if y'all have not already, hit that subscribe button here on Snap Judgment. You gotta get my man Rainy to 500 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button, share with all your NFL friends, share, like, subscribe, and you on your merry way in 5 seconds.
Yes, I appreciate that. We just crossed 60 subscribers today. So we hit the 50 mark about 10 days ago. We're shooting for 100 by the draft. That's my goal. It's attainable, reasonable. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it can only happen with support of folks that are watching this.
That's a fact.
We really appreciate you guys.
Hit the subscribe button. Get my man to 100, 500, 1,000. Get him to the big milestones.
Hell yes. Thank you. All right. We got Washington on the clock. We're not going to do trades here because I don't like the trade thing in mock drafts sometimes, because it's always smart to trade back. You're always going to get offers in the simulators to trade back pretty much. And it's like you could sit here and trade back and accumulate draft capital and have the sweetest looking draft because you come out with like 30 players in the 30s to 60s, and it's like it tends to be ridiculous. So I try not to do trades. Let's just work with what you got on the board. What are you seeing? What do you like?
What I'm not seeing is Carnell Tate. That seems to be the overlying issue. Is he seems to go in these PFS and mock drafts. What I am seeing, he went third, traded up for interesting. I don't. That's one thing I don't.
That's interesting.
The one thing about PFS
and then the Jets traded up.
Well, or the Jets traded back.
Jets
no, you're
traded
right.
up to take a second pick in the top 6 there.
Wow. Okay. Well, with that being said, then I like Jeremiah Love. I like Caleb Downs. They did trade. Oh, dang. Okay. Jay Love is there. Downs is there. Delane is there. Kind of my top 3 selections I would take if a wide receiver is gone. But if I have to choose, because I know there's good depth in this class, in the secondary, please bring Love to Love in DC.
Okay. Jeremiah Love. That's a good pick, man. I've heard that a little bit. How do you think he fits alongside Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt there?
I think Jeremiah will be more of the kind of instant impact starter versus Bill had to take a second. Like, Bill is a very hit and run kind of vision running back, meaning like he'll make 1-2 cuts and he's got a little bit of speed. Where Love, I expect a little bit more, emphasis on the bruiser, on that build of his. And I mean, he can protect the way Bill can't. So him and Jaden running that double option, Bill, if you want to run a triple option, I can't wait if that happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, that certainly makes for a talented backfield. Look, getting Bill, JCM, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, whatever you want to call him. He likes to be called Bill, for the record. But getting him in the 7th round last year, such a great value grab, and being able to pair him up with a talent like Jeremiah Love really changes the offense. And like you said, not having the wide receiver there that you wanted early changes up your plans a little bit, but it helps the quarterback to have talented halfbacks as almost as much as it does to have great wide receivers.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Oh my goodness. Blake Miller went 20th.
Ooh, he's been rising boards.
Look at the amount of trades in this mock. It's wild.
And so weird. So that's one thing about PFSN that is almost unrealistic, is the amount of trades they'll do, because I think in this draft, you might not see more than 2 trades in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, there's already been so many trades. It's hard to imagine too many more. Like, you've already acquired extra picks. There's like 5 teams with 2 first-round picks.
Exactly. So your New England Patriots are on the clock. Round 1, pick 31.
Yeah, and I'm looking at how things have fallen out, and it's definitely interesting. I love Denzel Boston for this team. I want Blake Miller is probably my top target for the Patriots right now, but he went 20th to the Dallas Cowboys. Max Ihenekor also off the board already. So the tackle option's really not there as far as tackle of the future. I think at this point it's looking, Caden McDonald is a potential option. He's coming in. I believe they scheduled the top 30 visit with him just today. TJ Parker, certainly an option. And I think at that point you also start looking at edges like Malachi Lawrence even. And I like Jacob Rodriguez. Last week I did a mock draft where I took Jacob Rodriguez first. And man, it really worked out well. Like overall, the whole class, it was so good.
I'm shocked you don't have Emmanuel McNeil Warren higher on your board to take here, because you lose Jalen Hawkins.
Yeah, but we've got Keith Byard. We brought him in. He's an all-pro safety, and now we do need, a guy of the future. My thing with Emmanuel McNeil Warren is like, we came into this draft cycle, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, uber athletic, freak sort of safety. That's what you were expecting. And you were expecting Dylan Thieneman as kind of like the cerebral, intellectual safety. And then Thieneman came in and tested out of his mind, and McNeil Warren did the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And so I just think that, they met with Kamari Ramsey early in the process. They did meet someone. They met with Zaki Wheatley also, and I think the third to fourth round is really the range that I want to target that position at.
Okay, fair.
So you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make J-Rod a first round pick in this mock draft, and we're going to see if it falls out quite as well as the other one that I did, because I was so excited about the full draft class in that mock draft.
Yeah, I expect Caden McDonald, as much as D-tackle isn't a sexy position, to be a first round pick. Chicago, you guys, Denver, all could use him. Lee Hunter, I don't see as much. I think you could definitely see AJ Halsey make a case to be a late first round pick, especially if Thieneman and EMW are long gone. Trayden Stukes just went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I am a massive Trayden Stukes fan. I would use him at corner, but if people want to use him at safety, I would love that as well.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the Bears, that's where I'm surprised that Emmanuel McNeil-Warren gets past. I feel like they need that safety help, and it would surprise me if he was even still on the board. Early in this process, man, I thought that that there was potentially Dylan Thieneman was going to be on the board at 31, and I was so excited. Now it doesn't look like there's any way he falls past 18.
No way. But someone who did just fall in that board, Emmanuel Pregnon, I think he'll be long gone.
Yeah, and it's interesting. PFSN here has him ranked 50th overall. I do think that's interesting. And while I see, could be a guard of the future, the thing is that a guard is not a pressing need right now for us. And
True.
We're talking about a guard of the future, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, a guy that we could take, fourth, fifth, sixth round even, and develop over the course of a couple years. The guy I'm looking at right here in this position, well, actually, there's two guys that I'm kind of debating between. Number one, Demetrius Crownover. We didn't get that offensive tackle, right tackle of the future in the first round, and I think Crownover could potentially be that guy. Number two, Mike Washington Jr. And look, the Patriots spent a lot of time with him at his pro day, pulled him aside, asked him to run some extra drills. They've done a lot of work on their run game this offseason, bringing in a real fullback, one of the top blocking fullbacks in the league, bringing in a top blocking tight end, bringing in a new left guard. And Travion Henderson, he really struggled to get on the field last year. There weren't reasons towards the end to think that he was all of a sudden getting better in pass protection either. And so I think that, Mike Washington, people are going to think of Mike Washington and Henderson as a smash and dash. But the reality is Mike Washington Jr. actually tested faster than Henderson by a full 1/10 of a second and has about 15 to 20 pounds on him. So I think that there's a world where Mike Washington Jr. becomes almost a feature back and Henderson becomes a speedy complement and maybe someone that we see working a lot more in kick returns, where we saw him be very effective at times last year.
Yeah, I think obviously you take him. I think that would suck for kind of that last draft. That Henderson was obviously the pick, but then you don't use him as much as you would think, and then you're going to take a back in the same second round who's just as good, if not better, than Henderson. I think that could be a little iffy to a lot of Patriots or even NFL fans, because you would suspect Trayvon would be the one. You could always get someone to be the two, but if you're drafting Mike to be the full one, and you would 1A and 1B, you turn Henderson into the 3 in special teams, you're thinking, did we just waste last year's draft on Henderson? Because I love Mike Washington Jr.
Yeah,
but but if New England takes him, that could be the conversation of, did we just waste last year's draft on Henderson purely because we had 3 veterans on the roster and Stevenson and Gibson, and both of them went down, and you then had to use Henderson, but then you never did see him.
Well, Gibson's no longer here.
True. Anymore. Meaning last year, you had him, you had Stevenson, you drafted Henderson. Gibson obviously gets injured now, released. Now this year, look, I think Mike Washington could definitely fit in that Josh McDaniels system. I don't know if that would be the right thing for the development of Henderson. That's going to be the tricky part. So here at pick 71, this is easy for me.
No. Yep.
Oh, no, good.
Okay. Who do you like?
I'm liking Skyler Bell. He had a fantastic combine, a fantastic pro day earlier today. I think you need someone to complement Terry, who's got size, he's got decent size, which is fitting in this receiver room, but has got good speed, great hands. Like you aren't a Biletnikoff finalist at University of Connecticut without completely balling out. And now Terry as a mentor, there are not many receivers nowadays that welcomes the competition like Terry McLaurin. I'm taking Skyler Bell all day. So now a few more. Let's see. Mason Thomas gone. Aikman Innocent gone. Parker gone. Surratt. If Surratt falls that far, that would be so interesting because he should be taken way higher.
Yeah, I've seen him go early second round many times.
For sure.
Now, Oscar Delp is a guy that I think we're interested in here in New England. I see him going at 92 there. Now, let's see how this board fell is interesting.
It's an interesting board, but it kind of works out in New England's favor.
Yeah, I mean, I look at DDS sitting right here. I mean,
if you want the athletic freak, it's DDS, but if you want the instant impact starter, Eric Moore is also right there.
Yeah.
If you're going edge, I don't think you can go wrong either way. It's just do you want a little development or do you want instant starting right now?
Yeah, and you know what? With the status of how Harold Landry, his medical situation has been over the past year, I think you got to go with the guy who's going to give you more impact right now.
Yep.
And that's
not a slight against Danny Danielson whatsoever. But when you have, I think, 5 sacks at Penn State and was a down year versus Michigan had a down year, but Moore had 9 sacks and a fantastic offseason. It just depends on what you like in your edge rusher and how Mike Vrabel and company is going to use that defense.
Yeah, and here's my thing too, is like as far as a team like Penn State is concerned, or Clemson maybe, for instance, they also fall into the same bucket, LSU also. Like if you had a down year while your team was having a down year, it's not that I'm like it's disqualifying, but it's just not like Katron Allen had a good year at Penn State, despite all the Penn State struggles, whereas Nick Singleton had a garbage year.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm much more interested in a guy who tries to step up and carry his team than a guy who falls apart and fades with the rest of them at the same time, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you there. But
all right, so I've got 2 picks here.
Yeah, you almost have a back-to-back. I mean, you're 6 picks within each other.
Yep. Now, Zakee Wheatley, he's a guy I mentioned earlier, ranked right and about in this range. They actually have to take him in the 3rd round in the real life. I'm not sure, but I think if he were to be available at 125, I wouldn't be surprised, and it also wouldn't be a reach. And I think he fits in well here as that 3rd option safety.
I would agree. I agree. Taylon Green taken high, and there's my boy Landon Robinson getting taken high. I love to see that, but Taylon Green interesting.
And now, you know what? I've done this so many times. It does feel a little redundant, and I apologize if you guys are sick of seeing me take him here, but I don't care. Also, Malachi Fields at 131 is great value. People talked about him, at the end of the 1st or even in the 2nd earlier in this process. That was too early. But at 131, that is great value. He's going to be a great red zone target. He's a big, long, strong, 6'5", 220-pound wide receiver. that's going to box out defenders, go up there, get the ball, and make those touchdown grabs in the back of the end zone that we need at that target for Drake May.
Correct. So Malachi Fields and Zakee Wheatley in your 4th round is a very, very good duo tandem to be drafted. I think they'll probably be starters too, especially Wheatley. So let's see. Morgan.
Yeah. I mean, if not immediately, because Byard and Woodson are in front of him, long term for sure.
Oh yeah, long term for sure. So let's see. My commander sitting here at round 5, pick 147. So I've taken Jeremiah Love and Skylar Bell so far. I need to address this defense. I want it. Can you see what corners are left? For me, please.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ephesians Price.
Got some interesting options there. Price.
Yeah. Everett Dixon Hall. Kennedy M. High. Okay. So if he's still there,
Hubbard is getting bare at the cornerback position.
It definitely is. Ooh. That. What about edge rusher? I know we have an abundance right now with all the free agents we've signed, but I mean, okay, in terms of, I'm going to go edge rusher here, but I'm in 2 trains of thought. Romello Height, David Bailey's running mate, who also had like 9 sacks on the season. We're bringing in for a top 30 visit, but I have been I put him on my underrated list, taking him into mock draft after mock draft. I really, really like Nadeem Tucker out of Western Michigan. I think the problem for people with that is it's Western Michigan. What is your definition of competition when you're one of the more bottom Division I FBS schools versus a Texas Tech, college football playoffs, talent after talent after talent after talent? We haven't even seen Skylar Gill Howard be taken yet because he's injured, or else I would have said he should be a fringe first rounder. So I think the fact that the Commanders are putting him on the top 30 visit, I'm taking Romello Height here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. The Patriots are also bringing Height in for a top 30 visit, and a lot of people have talked about round 2 or whatever, and I'm like, no, that's too high. But round 5 is fine. Okay. Yeah. Round 5, I'm good with. Maybe even round 4, day 3 for sure. This guy is the oldest prospect in this draft class. He has spent 6 years in college and seen 4 different schools. Now, I don't know if he has the personality of a buzzsaw, and that's why he's hopping from school to school, or if he just has a tough time finding an ideal fit.
I mean, all could be true.
230 pounds or whatever, and then edge rusher. But one way or another, he's definitely a late developing.
Yep. But hey, it's also round 5, so I'm not too concerned with some of that stuff. Yeah, you are. I don't know what it is with your Wi-Fi.
It's so bad right now.
So, folks, just bear with us. For all of us who know and have internet issues, we know how this goes. So just bear with us, folks. But
yeah,
your Patriots are on.
Yeah, here we are at 171, and just to review, we started this thing out with J-Rod. When I went ahead and took Mike Washington Jr. second, Derek Moore is going to fill out the edge room. Zakee Wheatley is the third option safety. Malachi Fields he's going to get on the field as an X receiver, even if it's just in red zone situations or that sort of thing. But I think he also at the Senior Bowl showed off that ball tracking ability. Was very impressive there.
I agree. There is one name that is on that board who I think could be in New England's favor on the offensive side.
Okay.
It's Keegan Trost.
Tell me what
offensive tackle out of Mizzou.
Okay.
A very, very
What do
late
you
name
tell
into.
me about him?
So a very, very late name into my kind of draft analysis board, but really good size, really good. Like, he didn't give up a lot of pressures. I think he gave up maybe 2 sacks this year at Mizzou, and yes, it's Mizzou, but it's still the SEC. So to only give up 2 sacks, I think he's given up 5 in 3 years, if I remember the stats correctly. Like, again, it's the 5th round. You can develop this guy. I think he's played a little bit of guard. I got to go back and look at the full tape. But in the 5th round, you need some offensive tackle depth. And honestly, you want to get a little young on the O-line, especially with Campbell and Jared on the interior, Will on your left. Wouldn't be bad to go get a younger offensive tackle out of another SEC school. I think Tross could be an idea.
Okay. No, I don't hate it, and I definitely have to look that way. But I got to tell you, as I was scrolling down, I got really excited seeing a name available here, and that's Sam Roush. We need a tight end. We need youth in that room. We didn't really bring in anybody that can catch at that position this offseason. And actually saw Austin Hooper head back to Atlanta, so he won't be back. I think Sam Roush can catch, can block. I look at him and I see a lot of similarities. Maybe not like, and this is like going way off the scale, but like this is Patriots Nation, so bear with me. But a little Gronkish in that he can kind of do a little bit of everything. And like, look, there's miles to go before you're Gronk, but you got a big, tall guy who can catch, who can block. I think he can catch better than people think too. Like he dealt with really just piss poor quarterback play at Stanford, and he's not going to have that problem here. Like May will put it in his hands. Good quarterbacks have a good tight end that they come up with, and I just, for whatever reason, man, I feel like this could be a guy.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Look, I got my guys on my lists all day long, and you're seeing half of them now. A lot of them are already gone. Some of them might be going here, like Tross to Dallas. All right, that makes sense. No, Husky's gone. Okay, never mind. That messed up a few things for me. God bless. Okay. I'm a Jalen Husky believer.
That's funny because Tross, Dallas sniped me on Blake Miller earlier too. So they're just going full in on tackle here.
Full on. Then Eli Heidenreich to Tennessee. I think Heidenreich should get lots of love as a wide receiver. Like 808 touchdowns, another 403 on like Swiss. A better, well-rounded Taysom Hill just without the quarterback play. Like use him in the run, use him in the pass, use him a little bit of blocking. Him and Husky gone. That changes so many things. I'm gonna look at
Tucker pick to Vegas too is a really good pick.
That's really good value. Tucker, Tyree Wilson, Max Crosby. That could be something. That's a oof. I'm gonna look at cornerback if you get a second. Because my idea, I'm gonna take him here. Give me Jaden Kennedy, cornerback out of Oregon. My idea was to go Husky here and then Kennedy at 209. But with Husky gone, I'm gonna take Kennedy now. Good size, good speed, great hands. Had like a sub 45 pass rating this year at Oregon. I think he was the 2. And we need young depth here in Washington. And I really like Kennedy, especially with us bringing in Meek Robertson and us potentially bringing in Ahkello Witherspoon. I would like Kennedy here in DC.
All right. Yeah, that's an interesting pick. I'm going to put that in 1 second. I was going to say it's interesting because the Chiefs guy that was here for Tuesday's show was also a Jalen Husky fan. Matt's a Maryland student, so he's very familiar with those guys.
Husky was like if I had to put together a my guys list for non-first round talents, Husky's on that list. Like him, Tucker, Robinson, Heidenreich, Skylar Bell. Like, I could go down. I could make an offense out of all non-first round picks, and they'd all be my guys. It's a problem.
Yep. Yeah, no, I feel that. All right. Well, I got 3 picks here before your next pick because we are loaded up in the 6th round.
Yeah,
we
you
apparently feel like that's the sweet spot.
Hey.
So look, there's a lot of guys in this range. Like you were talking about my guys. Here's a group of guys that I constantly pick in the 6th round. Lewis Bond, Eric Rivers, Fernando Carmona Jr., Lander Barton, Jeff Caldwell sometimes even. Cole Payton I got stuck with last night. Adam Randall.
Yep.
Billy Shrouth. I like him. Mason Rager. I like him. Actually, you know what? Let's do the Mason Rager pick.
That's a good one.
We waited. We waited on edge. We had Derek Moore. I think this really gives us 5 guys in that edge room that could potentially be contributors.
Yep. And Rager is like, yes, it's Wisconsin, but Rager's young enough and deep enough in this draft where he's not going to be an instant impact starter. It's going to probably take him a couple of games to get into the full rotation, but when he does, and if he makes the most out of his plays, I think fans will be excited for Mason Rager.
Yeah, I know a lot of fan bases are excited about him too. He had a really good workout.
Yeah, he did.
He looks good. He's got all the measurements, got all the tools. Yep. All right, let me take a look at we went linebacker, running back, couple edge players, tight end, wide receiver, safety. We've really filled out the needs in this team. But we have pretty much ignored the offensive line. And I'd like to go ahead and see if I can find a developmental guard.
Okay.
So who do you like on this list here?
Oh, I'm looking through that list. So Armaj Reed Adams, I remember seeing him early on in the process as like a second, late 3rd round pick, and I just couldn't get behind it for whatever reason. And having them ranking him at 292 seems low, but I mean, you give up a couple of sacks in a bad or in a decent A&M season. I'm not gonna discredit that list. So he's there. Campbell's not bad. Jeremiah Wright isn't awful.
He's really falling off.
Yeah, like a couple of these guys, like Caden Barnett is weird because he gave up like 7 sacks, I think, last season, but gave up like 2 this year, which is progression. But it's also like Wyoming. You should be giving up that many sacks as a best way I want to mid-American like offensive lineman when like Iowa and Wyoming just build big beefy like interior guys. Shruth ain't bad here.
Now, what do you think about if I just catered to the fans? What do you think about if I catered to the fans and went with a local kid, Logan Taylor?
I mean, it's not the worst option. I think at this point, like in the 6th round, you're just getting guys that you can develop. You pack out your depth chart, and on it, like it wouldn't be the worst thing. Like in terms of guards that are left, it's not really a whole lot. I think if you're gonna go tackle, both Penn State guys, I think are good picks. Micah Pettis is a good pick. In terms of guards, Grimnat, like by the time you get here, like Micah Morris, I think is a better overall guard than probably Logan Taylor out of Georgia, like all the way down on their board. Like it's just had a decent season for the Bulldogs. Gave up like a sack and a half. Decent on the pressure rate, decent on the QB pressures, like someone you can just build up. And he pairs up with Jared Wilson, who I think is a former teammate of his at the University of UGA.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good call right there. You know what? I've gone now. I will shout him out. I've gone a couple times. Jeremiah Wright. I liked him down at the Senior Bowl. I thought he had some really good reps down there. I've gone with Billy Shrouth a few times out of Notre Dame. Now, he did have that ankle surgery, so that's going to be questionable about how he comes back. I do really like Micah Morris, though. I thought he was another guy that he was down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. Wait, was he at the Senior or Shrine? He was at, I think he was at the Senior Bowl because I'm pretty sure.
Sounds right.
Anyway, he looked really good. I really liked what I saw from him there, and I like how you mentioned that connection with Jared Wilson. I think that helps him in this team.
Good.
And you know what? That pushes it over the edge for me. That's who I'm going to go with here.
Hey, when in doubt, I could peer pressure. No, I'm kidding.
That was an excellent call. Now here, I saw this guy a minute ago, and I've liked this guy throughout the process. I liked him early in the year. He came into the school year weighing about 290, and one of the biggest knocks on Emil Wagner was that he needed to gain weight. Well, he came to the Shrine Bowl about 305, and he came to the Combine at like 308 or something like that. He's gaining weight, and he's not putting on bad weight either. I think he's really gaining weight the way he should be, slow and steady, real, good mass throughout the body, not just that like fat top half that looks like he's just trying to weigh in, right? So I like him. I like his frame. Look, he didn't have a perfect, great season at Notre Dame. Everybody remembers Reuben Bain just putting him over his knee and fucking spanking him in week 1 of the college season. But I promise you that the following weeks went a lot better. Okay. And Emil Wagner is definitely a guy who's, I think he's worth a higher pick than 202, to be honest.
That's fair. Yeah. I think Rucci out of Penn State isn't a bad pick either if you're just sitting here in the 6 and they're both available. But yeah, Wagner got better on a weird year for Notre Dame, so I don't hate that pick whatsoever. Alrighty, so here at round 6, pick 209 for my Commanders. Can I see what centers are left? If we're gonna stick with the big boys in the middle, I need center help. Allegretti. Okay, so Brockmeyer's there. Coogan is there. Ironically enough, I was wearing the Indiana shirt on Monday's live stream, so that's hilarious. I think the guy who normally sits here is gone. Yeah. Normally at this point, I would take like a Matt Gulbin out of Michigan State, but they've risen up, hit their boards as well for good measures.
Yeah, he's been a late riser in this process.
Yeah, and good for him. Like, he had a really good year at Michigan State, considering what the Michigan State crapshoot that it was.
Okay, Josh Kreutz. I see that name. Did he have a dad that played center in this league?
It's a great question. I
remember a guy named Olin Kreutz.
Let's see. Josh Kreutz. Out of Illinois. This doesn't look like.
Olin Kreutz played center for the Bears. He's 48 right now.
Yeah. Personal.
Kreutz son. Josh Kreutz. Yep. Yeah, both of his sons play.
Yeah. Look at that. That's not bad. But yeah, Josh plays O-line.
Josh Kreutz, center from Illinois, the son of Olin Kreutz.
Yeah. And then
his father played center for the Bears, 25 years ago. Interesting.
And then his other son, James, plays linebacker. Oh, man. Dude, seeing some of these kids, and I say kids like I'm not just 24 years old, like Larry Fitz Jr. and who's wearing number 8 for Notre Dame, the wide receiver who put on like hella muscles. Oh, God. Trying to remember who, but like seeing all these like juniors and sons of players, I'm like, come on.
Fields, right?
Think so, yeah. I gotta go back and look at it. But either way, back before I ramble on, back to the draft. Can I just see safety real quick?
Who are you thinking?
I want to look at safety just for the quickest second because like Husky's gone and company's gone. Let's see, Jacob Thomas. Jalen Catalon, Cole Wininski. Are you a
Wisniewski fan?
Dude, if I want to get another white safety back there who's just a better Troy Apke, I'm going for him. Lorenzo Styles, just an athletic freak. Catalan. What about D tackle? Maybe I just skip safety. Let me get a big beefy boy. Let's see. Rayshon Benny. I've talked about him in the past. Zaven Harris is just. Why is he still here? Give me Caleb Proctor, defensive tackle out of Southeastern Louisiana.
Zaven Harris?
Oh, Caleb Proctor. Caleb Proctor. Give me Proctor.
Good call.
Good call. Look, yes, it is a Division II school and everything, but 9 sacks at his size, had a really good offseason and everything. Like, pair him up with Payne on his last deal, pair him up with Jerzon Noon. I don't associate the word Johnny with him. And if Johnny's on his way out, I think Proctor could be what Johnny was supposed to, or Jerzon was supposed to be coming out of Illinois.
Okay. That is definitely, yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, especially this deep in the draft. He is a extremely athletic, like 3-tech defensive tackle. Exactly. He's going to give you some penetration. Definitely a good pick. You know what? Here we have gone linebacker already. In fact, we started off this draft for the Patriots at linebacker, but Lander Barton's a different kind of linebacker than J-Rod is. And I know people on my channel are probably getting sick and tired of seeing me pick him, but you know what? I'm not yet sick and tired of picking him. So you're going to have to deal with it. I am a big fan of Lander Barton, big, long linebacker prospect. He's great in coverage. I think he's the type of guy you can say, lock up that tight end, get out there. I wish he was a little more aggressive. I wish he was a little more hair on fire sometimes, but I think you get him in a run with J-Rod and Robert Spillane and Christian Ellis, guys like that. They're not going to let him slack off. They're not going to let him, kind of pussyfoot around and not be aggressive. They're going to, that aggression is going to infect him, I think.
Oh, that's a good call. Infect is the right word for it. I like that. Like that word. So here at 223, my last pick, because I only have 6 picks in this draft, and the board fell perfectly. And I probably could have swapped these picks, but whatever. Give me Pat Coogan, Indiana, Hoosiers. Give me some center depth. Give me a potential center of the future. Give me a national champion, someone who's going to come in and work hard day in, day out. Give Allegretti some run for his money, and honestly, give me a winner in this room.
Yeah, I really like Coogan as a pick, and he's also going to bring that versatility. Another guy who caught my eye at center when you said look at center was like a James Brockermeyer. And I think that he could be a serviceable center in this league. But the problem is I think he's only a center. And I think you get a guy like Pat Coogan who has a little bit of positional flexibility to play all 3 interior positions. That's really how you get on the field as a rookie. You have that versatility and added value at multiple spots, and it makes it a lot easier.
Bingo.
Just getting on the field in general, which in turn turns into production.
Yep. Bingo.
All right. Well, I'm up on the clock with my final pick. This is pick 247 in the 7th round. And right there off the top, I see a couple of options we could talk about. Nate Borkashire is a guy that they met with early in the process. They like him. DeJon Stribling, we had him in for a top 30 visit. Very fast wide receiver who produced in big game situations. And I like that. Another thing that I see here, Bryce Betcher. Now I've already taken 2 linebackers. Had I not taken J-Rod in the first, I would think about a guy like Bryce Betcher in this spot here.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's going to be a place for him on this roster after having taken J-Rod already.
Right. What is interesting because I don't think Bryce is going to be there. I think Wineski is going to be long gone. I think Stribling is going to be long gone. That is the one kicker with the PFSN board. It is so skewed. Like it seems like they haven't updated it in weeks, to where it's like Stribling should be long gone. Broshare should be long gone. I think Coogan should be long gone. Like Zaven Harris long gone. I think Whittington could be long gone. Daniels long. Jamari long gone. Like there's so many guys here, and yes, like guys are gonna fall naturally. But like you're telling me you people were gonna take Aaron Hall out of Duke before Zayvon Harris? Like, give me a break.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, while that's not, wrong, there's also, everybody's got their own rankings, and especially when you
Right.
get down here, past like 200, look,
Yeah.
it's hard to say who's got who where and who has
Yeah.
what needs. And sometimes you have some teams who are just taking swings on traits, and some teams that are looking to fill in, like, more stable, reliable back end type players and depth.
That
And
is true.
it's just so hit or miss. It's hard to say that guy won't be here at 250, but he would be at 200, because it's just,
Yeah.
it's just, it's eye of the beholder, right?
Yep. You are correct.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. Even if he may not be here in the real draft, he's here right now. And this simulator has him ranked at 230. I'd be interested to see what like PFF or something has him at. But DeJon Stribling, the fast wide receiver, is going to give them, over the top option. I like that. I think he fits in well here.
I like that. On the PFF board, he is a long gone by like pick 125. Like they have a fourth slapped on him.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wow, that's interesting.
It's
all right.
To me, it's a little bit
up our final hauls here.
Yep. To me, Stribling in the fourth seems much more likely than Stribling in the seventh. So even if you want to, take the median, make it, round 6, round 5, definitely shouldn't be. If he is there in the seventh for any team, either he threw up at his pro day, or he's this year's Shedeur, like got taken down for no reason.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Oh, that's funny. You and I did not do this last draft cycle. It sounds like we would have had interesting conversations on Shedeur, because I think there was really good reasons that he fell.
I think there were good reasons. I don't think he should have fallen to the 5th.
That's fair. I mean, it's at some point in time, it's like, you know what? I already passed on the kid. Screw it. At some point in time, you've almost poisoned the well, so it's like hard to go back to that well. So that's, I kind of felt like, and also it was a little bit of it seemed to me, and I don't want to rehash like a whole like thing on Shedeur a year later, but like, it's just the reporting I had heard is like he was treating visits as if they were recruiting visits, not job interviews.
Right.
And this is a job interview, kid. Like, you gotta treat it that way. And if I walk in and say, like, I don't give a shit about your opinion, I'm running the show now, it doesn't matter if it's the first round or the 7th round, I don't want that idiot in my building. So like, I understood a lot of that.
I get it. Like, and a year later, it probably does make more sense. But even if you just swapped, and we'll make this quick so you can see the final haul. If you just swap Dylan and Shedeur's placement and where they got selected, there wouldn't be discourse about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. What I thought the stupidest thing was, it was the whole like sales job afterwards by Dion of like, well, this only happened because he's a Sanders. When in the fuck has anybody ever had anything against Deion Sanders? I've been on this planet for 44 years. I've known about Dion for a good chunk of that time, and I've never once in my life heard anybody go, well, screw him because he's Dion. No, if anything, the other way around. If anything, it was like, oh, Dion, hell yeah, that dude's, whatever, like, because he was a super freak athlete. And it was just like, Shedeur learned how to act like his dad, but he didn't learn how to be an athlete like his dad. And if you're going to have that much of an ego, you've got to have the athleticism to match, the skills to match, the talent to match. His dad did. Shedeur was more comparable to, other similar college quarterbacks. And I mean, those guys are turned into offensive coaches, offensive coordinators, like 5 years into their career. They're they're just not like number one Andrew Luck type prospects, and you can't go ahead and act like that. So
not at all.
I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, you had 6 picks in this mock draft. I had 11. That's why I felt like I was constantly picking and you never were. But I think you made some really good, really good dent into your needs with these picks. You started off with Jeremiah Love, and that's already, not debatably a top 3 player in the class.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big win value wise already right off the bat.
Yep. I mean, Love. I mean, if this is how it played out, I'm not going to say, John knows and John sees the future, but hey, if this was our haul, chef's kiss.
Yeah, no, listen, if this is your haul, they need to be calling you. All right. GM role, put a little GM hat on there.
Hey,
look, Skylar Bell, good prospect. Yeah, look, Skylar Bell is a good prospect. What I like about him is the hands too. Like he's a little bit smaller. He's like 5'10" or whatever, 5'11", a little bit smaller, but the 10-inch plus hands on a prospect that size. That's what I thought. I had heard someone comp him at one point to like a Steph Diggs type, and I was like, that cool with that. That makes sense. Bad. Yeah. And then Romello Height, like in the right range, that's a good pick. You're not throwing away a day 2 pick on an undersized edge rusher that might just be too small for the league. But hell, if he's not at 147,
yeah,
even if he just becomes a DPR.
Right. And going back to Bell, and the official combine has him listed, and this is from NFL.com, the combine, 6 foot, 192, 31 1/8 inch arms, 10-inch hands, 4'4", 40, a 41-inch vert, and 11'1" broad jump. You want to talk about an athlete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From a smaller school. Hey.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He had the RAS come in. I just looking it up right now.
Oh, he was like a 9. Was he a 9'9"? He was high.
That sucks tonight.
I got you. Because I've looked this up before. Skylar Bell,
9.65 RAS.
There we go. Like you're telling that is 111th out of the 3,800 wide receivers that they've reviewed since 1987. I will gladly take a top, what is that, 10%, top 20% wide receiver.
No, that's better than top 10. That's like top 1.
Yeah.
It's like
him
top,
and McLaurin,
1%.
Yeah, him, McLaurin. You still got Van. You still got Luke. You still got Jalen. You still got Treylon Burks, and I think Treylon Burks should have a better impact this season. Like, you want to get younger, you want to get better. Skylar Bell at 71 would be lovely. Like Raz has been 5'11" and 5 inch. So most guys are going to round that number up to 6 foot. So really, like, what's the difference? 1 inch, cool. But a 4'4", 40, 1.5 split, a 41-inch vertical, an 11-1 broad. Like, you're telling me that he's not a top wide receiver in this draft? Look, if he'd put all this together at like a Florida, at an FSU, at a Arkansas, at a Mizzou, at a Michigan, there'd be arguments for him to be in the top or in the first round. And again, I said this when I had when we did our wide receiver rankings back in like late December with Dante over at Gridiron Apex. Shout out to him. We both agreed first round talent and player, it's gonna be the small school syndrome that's gonna kill his stock.
Yeah. I mean, certainly it is. You look at the 40-yard dash at 4.4, the 10-yard split at a 1.52. That is very quick, even for a smaller wide receiver. Like that 1.5 is like super elite, but you get a 1.51, 1.52 10-yard split, and I'm in. And again, like I mentioned it earlier, the 10-inch hands. He does have the short arms. Okay, so that's a small catch radius between being 5'11" and change and 31-inch arms, but you're not getting this guy because of his big catch radius, and it is amplified that despite the fact it's a little smaller, it's amplified by that 41-inch vertical leap. So you get a guy who can get up there, 11-foot broad jump, can dive, can get out there, get to the ball if necessary. You waylay a little bit of those like small catch window, small catch radius type of concerns. So yeah, definitely huge value at 71. And look, when you're only going to make 2 picks in the top 100, Jeremiah Love, your top wide running back, and Skylar Bell, a wide receiver who can help with some of the concerns, because you guys had some serious issues there last year when McLaurin was out.
Exactly. Call that an A.
But yeah, then you go to Romello Height, again, just the right range, the right amount of risk right there. Jaden Kennedy, you talked about coming in, being a part of that cornerback room. Caleb Proctor, ridiculous value. Whether or not he's available there at a pick like 209, that's debatable. But if he is, he's another one that's an athletic freak and going to be able to penetrate in the middle, help collapse those pockets, and be a part of a rotation on the defensive line.
Bingo. And I mean, look, if you want to reorder my last 3 picks into whatever order it makes you feel more comfortable, we good. If you want to go Coogan, if you want to go Proctor, Coogan, Kennedy, you want to go Coogan, Kennedy, Proctor, Proctor, Kennedy, Coogan. Like if you want to reorder those 3 to make you feel more like an A, go right ahead. Great value at all those picks.
Yeah, no, it was very solid draft. That's how you turn 6 picks into 6 potential contributors right there. And then just to run down mine a little quicker, because 11 picks and we don't want to be here all day. But J-Rod in the first, like we need to upgrade that linebacking room. J-Rod just screams to me Vrabel player. The concerns about his athleticism and his size have been a little bit overplayed. I think he measured in at the same exact measurements as CJ Allen did, and there were no concerns about CJ Allen. If anything, he's practically sold as a thumper. So, I think those concerns are a little bit overstated. And I think you bring him in here, that's immediate upgrade on the linebacking unit. We saw run defense be a real struggle last year. And this is a team that we've seen get aggressive in addressing the issues that they had last year. And part of that is run defense. And the other side of that is the running the ball itself, short yardage situations, being able to turn red zone situations into red zone touchdowns. Not having to settle for field goals and not turning the ball over. And I think Mike Washington Jr. in the second addresses that. It's not the way people would see us go. A lot of people will tell you we have to go edge, wide receiver, tackle with the first 3 picks in some order. Here, I've addressed other needs in other positions with high impact players. I think I really went BPA. As far as J-Rod, I think there are a lot of smart people that I know that have J-Rod as a top 10 to 15 player in this class.
That's fair.
And then Derek Moore, you stood on the table and pounded the table for him. And I said, you know what? Screw it. We're going to take Derek Moore. Look, he lit up the Senior Bowl. He took down the tower that is Markel Bell first day. Just absolutely steamrolled him.
Insane.
Yeah, dude, I was just screaming at the TV like, man, Markel Bell's got kids to feed. Okay, we don't have to kill him live at the Senior Bowl, but Derek Moore felt like he did.
And convincingly.
Yes. Look, it wasn't just Markel Bell. Okay, that was the most that was the most eye-popping one because it was on camera, and Markel Bell's 47 feet tall and weighs 3 tons. And, Derek Moore just plowed through him like the Kool-Aid man does to a brick wall. But Derek Moore did that to everybody there except Max Ihenacor, and he tried to fight Max Ihenacor. So he's got that intensity, okay? And it's effective at times, and when it's not, we'll have to reel him back in a little bit. But it is what it is.
The definition of a Vrabel guy.
Yeah, 100%, right? Look, we talked about Wheatley and Fields in the 4th round range. That's a great value for those guys. I talked glowingly about Sam Roush, maybe a little too glowingly. I'm not going to lie. Okay, but it is what it is. I really like the guy. I think he could have some impact. And if he doesn't, he's a 5th round pick and 1 of 11. So it's not a big deal. Okay. But Mason Rager, I mean, that edge player out of Wisconsin, I forget exactly what his I'm pulling up his RAS score right now from MathBomb on Twitter.
It's a little. I'm trying to remember it too. I don't want to say it was two. Was it two? Was it really high?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty. Yeah, 9.53 out of 10.
There it is. Yeah. Good, great prospects. Like, very, very good.
Yeah, let me just pull his up onto the screen real quick because we haven't talked a lot about Mason Rager on this channel. But Rager right here, you can see the measurements already. Okay, clean 6'5", 251. That's an ideal frame. That's like building an edge rusher in Madden frame. Okay, that 10.5-inch hand size, those mitts, when he gets them on you. Okay, now a little bit shorter arms for the edge position, but everything else, I mean, vertical 40 inches, broad 10 foot plus, that 40-yard dash. That's all right. It's not great, but it's fine. 10-yard split. Again, it's not great, but a 161, that's pretty solid, dude. It's especially for, a bigger guy.
Especially at 6'5", 250 pounds. And he'll probably pare that down to 240, 245 when he gets into training camp and OTA. So you shed off a few pounds. You probably move that 478 to a 475.
Yeah.
And you're still in decent business. And I know we said this, and I'll make this quick about the Cardinal Tate 40-yard dash. Whatever reason, the time clock this year, the combine was skewed for so many prospects. Like the hand timers were all being consistent within 0.01, and that was 0.05 off. So it's like, all right, we got to fix that. And then also, running in a straight line isn't game speed because most of these athletes aren't track and field. You're not running. I'm not looking down the hard cam for 60 straight minutes. I'm looking down a little bit. I'm looking left a little bit. I'm looking right a little bit. Same thing in game time.
Well, and I think there's an understated impact with some of these players, especially when you get to like some of the smaller wide receivers or smaller cornerbacks, of impact on their speed when they're wearing pads, right? Because if pads weigh 5 pounds and you're 150, then pads are better. It's like wearing a weighted vest. And I think the impact of that we see sometimes. What jumps to mind for me immediately, and I don't know how you felt about this guy last year, but Matthew Golden. I mean, Matthew Golden came in and he ran like a 4.2 something at 40. Absolute bullshit time. Like it was probably an error on the stopwatch. I will believe that until the day I die. But only ran once, and then he knew it was a error. That's why he bounced. Okay, he knew that was a screw up. Whatever, I'm just gonna roll with it. And if you watched his tape, he didn't run away from anybody. Nobody. Everybody fucking caught this dude. Everyone. Literally, there was a game against Arizona State, I think it was, where literally every single player in the secondary caught him. He had like a 10-yard lead, and every single player in a secondary that most of them is not going to the NFL, or they're not going to be first-round picks if they are. I mean, the best guy at Arizona State in the secondary since then has been Keith Abney, and he wasn't a first-round pick in this. Maybe a second or third-round pick, something, day 2 pick.
Yeah, definitely second. But
everyone in that secondary caught him. He didn't play 4.28 or whatever it was he ran.
No.
But anyway, that's a little bit of a sidebar. Apologies to the fans. Look, Micah Morris, Emil Wagner, good solid depth pieces on this line. They could be developed into quality starters at some point in time. There's not any real demand to do that right now. Emil Wagner, look, if Morgan Moses can give us those last 2 years of his contract, or even just the next year, Emil Wagner could develop into a starting right tackle. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Leander Barton, I've talked about ad nauseum on this channel, and DeJon Stribling. You couldn't turn on a Boston radio station without hearing Stribling's name last week, because they scheduled that top 30 visit. We talked about him a little bit. Fast, not huge. He's like he's kind of similar size profile to Skylar Bell, I think. about 5'11", 6 foot, something in there, but very fast.
Very fast. I mean, if you want to make the comparison, Stribling was just a pared down SEC version of Bell. Similar size, speed, weight, and the Ole Miss, offense wasn't as prolific in the passing game as obviously UConn with Joe Fagino and I probably said last name wrong, and Skylar Bell, but UConn versus the SC, Ole Miss, UConn competition, Ole Miss competition. Right. So you can say, it's a very, very loose comparison, but if you want Skylar Bell-esque, Stribling would probably be the next. Him, Tyron Montgomery, same kind of in vein.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I mean, again, Stribling's ability to step up in those big game situations, that really can't be overstated. Like that's a big deal.
And something you can't teach.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to stay. I'm trying to pull up his game log right now. We're really getting to the point where we got to get out of here anyway. Hold on, I'm like halfway there. More than halfway there. I'm on the home stretch. Yeah, no. Okay, yeah. So those final two games he played against Miami, 5 receptions, 77 yards. That was against Miami. They lost that game, 31-27. It was a close game. It was a good game. The Georgia game is what people really remember him for. 7 receptions, 122 yards. Now, he didn't catch a touchdown in that game, but he did have some impact plays. And I mean, that average is 17.4 per catch in that situation was very big for him.
Correct.
That also, it should be noted, was his only game over 100 yards on the year. He had one earlier in the season, also against Georgia, 3 for 96 with a touchdown. So, his biggest games came against the same team. So that's one thing to note. That's kind of something to look into. And why is that? But definitely an interesting player who has proven he's got ice water in his veins. And look, for a team that's hoping to be in championship scenarios for years to come, you need a guy like that. We know you need a guy like that. Every now and then in a championship game, you need a wide receiver 3, a wide receiver 4, a fourth option running back, someone to step up and make an impact play. Sometimes that's the difference between winning and losing.
Hey, Eagles know all about that. The Patriots, unfortunately, know all about that this past year. The Chiefs have known about that. The Niners, the Bengals more so. Their offensive line just need to step up. Like, when these games count the most, it's always it's your receivers or your corners that let you down. Yeah,
100%. All right, folks. Well, listen, we've gone over our hour, which is our way here at Snap Judgments. Listen, people talk about all these sports radio guys in Boston and Philly and whatever city. I don't know how it is where you live. Up here, they're trash, and everybody they have an impossible time. They barely talk about sports. When they do, it's clear that they don't, because they don't know a whole lot about them. They don't know the names of players. They don't know the names of coaches. They don't know what's going on around them. It's like, dude, this is your old job. But then they say, like, the apologists for these people are like, oh, well, they have 4 hours to fill every day. Like, look, half of that's commercials, and every day we struggle to stay at an hour here. Okay. So tune in to Snap Judgments. Go find Ballin and Burgundy. You want to hear sports talk. You want to hear a bunch of, educated opinions and thoughtful analysis about current events and about sports, and hey, maybe you'll get a little preview into some stuff that's going to happen next week or in 2 weeks or whatever. Get some ideas, get some thoughts going. You want sports talk. You want sports talk with all the bullshit, without all the commercials. Occasional laggy connection, okay, but I can't get everything perfect. All right, I'm just one man working on a $0 budget, so we're doing what we can. All right,
I feel that all day.
All right. Well, hey, listen, everybody, thank you so much for subscribing in. John, thank you so much for your time once again, coming back on the show, jumping in
Yes,
here
sir.
into this dueling mock draft, dueling with my internet connection while we're at it. Couldn't be more grateful for the folks that, not only the folks that make their time, that make time to listen to to the podcast, but folks that make time to come on and be on it and share their knowledge and thoughts with us. And, couldn't be more grateful, guys. Get over there, follow Ballin and Burgundy podcast. Okay. Lots of good stuff. Follow him on X, follow him on YouTube, wherever he's putting stuff out. You want to follow him, get in the description here. I'll make sure to link all his stuff, and you'll be able to get to it directly from there. John, anything to add?
No, for those who are listening or watching, hit the subscribe button here on Snap Judgments. Get my man to 100, 200, 300, 500. Get him to the subscriber benchmarks, because YouTube takes a while to get these shows in the algorithm. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share with a friend, share with a friend, share with a friend, your mom, your dad, your sister, your cousin, your ex, your non-ex, your mistress. Share with everyone you know about Snap Judgment. He's doing fantastic content, and we're not even in April yet. We got 29 days till the draft. And
That's
boy,
right.
once about April 10th hits, the countdown is on. Hit the subscribe button.
That's it. And right now we're going to hit that outro. Thank